You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I am a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
The peacock is flying once again. This is Tim. This is Online Big Blue. Bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. You know what? It's the bye week for the New York Football Giants, which you gotta love. You gotta love the bye week. I personally love the bye week because you know what? There's nothing to talk about in the bye week. So it's fun just to come up with topics. It's fun just to think and maybe pontificate about the season. I know everyone's big thing is we're going to give grades to the New York Football Giants for the first half of the season. We're going to give out our second, our half a season grades. I don't do that because you know what? The season and games are not won at halftime. Whatever you may be at the first half of the season, you may not be in the second half of the season. You may be a guy that's a quality player right now who may taper off a little bit. You may be like a Kenny G who is having issues right now, who may step up and do greater things. I had an old basketball coach and I loved it because he used to say it all the time. I remember we were up against a team that we weren't ranked in the state. This team was. We were up by 17 at halftime. We went into the locker room. We all sat down. We all felt good about ourselves. We're all cheering. We're all like we had already won the game. Like the game was already in the tank, already in the bag. That we had already cashed in all of our chips. And he walked in and he said, and he slammed the door shut and said, "Games are not won at halftime." And that always stuck with me. That and the fact that we went out and lost that game by 23. Yes, there was almost a 40. There was a 40-point swing. But that's the thing. The Giants are sitting at 6-2. The Giants need to not think about what they have done previously. They don't need to think about what is behind them. What is behind them. They need to think about what is ahead of them. And like I've said before, my man crush, the Shane and the Dable, have done such a good job of focusing that and putting that, I believe, into the heads of their teams, that they understand that this is just part of the season. This is just half the season. We are just halfway done with this. There's another 9 games to go. And you have to look at those games, not at the 6-2 record, what's behind us. You have to look at what's ahead of this team. And if you take a look at what's ahead of this team, you got the Texans, the Lions, the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Vikings, the Colts, the Eagles. We have a majority of our divisional games coming up. We have 5 divisional games within the next 9 games. So more than half the games that we have coming up are divisional games. And that, to me, is what's going to lead this team into a playoff run. Who knows? A playoff collapse. Who knows? We don't know yet. And that's the thing that we have to look at ahead. Not behind, ahead. We have to see what is going to go in directly in front of us. And I think, like I said, that's why I keep saying that's why I have the man crush on Shane. That's why I have the man crush on Shane and the Dable. Because right now, if you take a look at it, the Giants are in a pretty good spot for a wild card. The division is going to be a little bit more difficult with the Eagles sitting at 8-0 and the Cowboys sitting at 6-2 and already have a win in the column against the Giants. It's going to be a little harder to capture the division. And then funny, the Commanders are right behind us at 4-4. But after you look at the divisional leaders, you got in the West, you have the 49ers at 4-4. The Packers are 3-5. So, and then if you go into the NFC South, you're looking at the Buccaneers at 3-5. The Saints at 3-5. The Giants have a pretty good lead in reference to capturing a wild card, which would be awesome because I get to go to a wild card game. Yay, me. So you can't be thinking right now. Like I said, a lot of people are thinking, well, we're taking the division. Well, you know what the problem is? You're 6-2 and the Eagles are 8-0. And you kind of hope that the Eagles are looking ahead. You kind of hope they're looking ahead and maybe they start slumping a little bit. But if you take a look at the Giants, I just bit my tongue. If you take a look at the Giants' schedule, I'm not saying the Texans game at home is a pushover because no game for the Giants has been a pushover so far, but you hope that's a win. The same thing with the Lions. And like I said before, these next 4 games which was the Jags, the Seahawks, the Jags, the Seahawks, the Texans, and the Lions, were going to be important because you were going to have to go. To my mind, you were going to have to go. In my mind's eye, you're going to have to go at least 3-1. You've already had the win in Jacksonville. You had the loss against Seattle. You have then 2 straight home games before you go into your November 24th matchup against the Cowboys. So hopefully we can pick up 2 more wins at this point in time. And then we could sit at 8-2. And like I said, we need to think about pushing towards the wild card. That's what we need to think. We need to think about getting the home wild card game. Because then after you have that game against the Lions, you're at the Cowboys, which is going to be a tough matchup. You with the Heineke and with the Commanders look like a different team at times. They just if they figure out their defense, it could be something a little bit more interesting. So you have the Commanders at home, which you hope again is going to be a win. You have the Eagles at home, which will not be a cakewalk like a lot of people believe, because the Giants don't really have a lot of cakewalks because that's not the way this team is built. We said it a million times. This team is built on the run, ball control, play good defense. And then after that game at home, you jump automatically back over to the Commanders. You're then still on the road against the Vikings. So you have 2 tough games. You have 2 tough road games in a row. Then you have the Colts at home. The Colts right now are a mess. Whoever thought the January 1st game against the Colts was going to be something that we would need to take a look at. Hopefully if the standings keep playing out like they are right now, hopefully by the Vikings game, the Giants have potentially locked in a wild card berth. Maybe locked in and not as a home field advantage, but have locked in a wild card berth. And then you have to hope that if you're doing that, that maybe the Eagles have faltered a little bit. And then at that point in time, maybe you're looking at divisional races. But right now, the divisional race to me would be a pipe dream. You would have to look at wild card. And a wild card option right now, unless there is a collapse on this team, is really something that we need to look at and we need to look forward to, because of the fact, like I said, I think it's going to be difficult to get into that spot in reference to the division. I have to laugh because you also see these articles and things about contracts that are coming up. We got contracts coming up in the next team. What contracts are we going to sign? And I think that some of these people are not basing these things in reality. They're not basing these thought processes in the reality of what the Giants salary cap is. And I love it because they always use the websites, the Sports Track and the other one, and they always have these things that this is the estimated projected value. The estimated projected value of a contract is not what you look at in reference to the average. It's to what the player offers. And I love it because one person, the Sports Track is like, the estimated value for Saquon Barkley is $12.63.2 million next year. Well, to a team that needs a running back, that estimated value may be $14 million. To the Giants, who may want to keep a cog to their machine, it could be higher. Or they could try to get a home team discount from Barkley. But these are things we don't want to talk about because we like to just pick out numbers and just say, you know what? This is like Madden. At the end of the day, I could just clear out the salary cap. Nobody's talking about the fact that you got Andrew Thomas coming up soon on a contract. I don't think the Giants are going to push through an extension right now going into year 3. They may look into an extension next year because they also can exercise the 5th-year option on his rookie contract. Now, the 5th-year option is basically an average of the transition tag. So you'd probably be estimated around almost $14 million. Now, there will be certain things that may cause that to jump up if he gets to a Pro Bowl, if it's a Pro Bowler, blah 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 blah. So you could be still looking at that 5th-year option at $15 million, which for a starting left tackle may be a steal. But the problem is you can't just plug and play in these numbers, because then you also have people like Julian Love. Julian Love right now is having a very good season. There was rumors that there still is rumors and talks that they want to do an in-season extension for him. I don't think Shane's going to do it because of the fact that, once again, it's one really good season so far. And I just crack up because you don't know what's going to happen in year 2. People fell in love, of course.
King of the almost sack.
People fell in love with Leonard Williams. 100% they fell in love with him. But the problem was he had the one good season and nothing else behind it. And we haven't really seen much of that money since. And now we're going to pay him $30-something million next year. And then we have a dead cap number, or a dead contract year for $3.5 million in 2024 because of the fact that we screwed up so badly on that contract. Sometimes, I've said it a million times, you get what you pay for. But I think the whole moral of this video is look ahead. Don't look behind. And at the end of the day, the Giants hopefully are going to be moving forward to a better situation, marching towards the playoffs. I'll be both at the Texans and the Lions game. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in here at Giants Sports Talk and our team. And as always, if you like, subscribe. If you ring that bell, it means that